Hello everybody, I hope you're all keeping well. I'm just doing a little bit of a quick video today on chitting my potatoes now that we are into the second half of February. I'm probably doing these a little bit later than I should have always otherwise done because I have been really busy. We've been moving house over the last week, so I've not had time to get these laid out chitting. They arrived about a week or so ago, but now that I've found a little bit of time to come down to the allotment and get these chitted, I'm going to get on with doing them, and I'm just going to do this quick little video walking through how I do it and also talking about how I'm growing my potatoes this year and what varieties I'm growing. So keep on watching to find out. I'm actually growing 4 different varieties of potato this year. I'm growing one of my favourite second early potatoes, Kestrel. I really like these ones. They're a nice potato with like purple eyes, and I think they make really nice. But they're an all-round nice potato, really, for whatever you want to use them for, roasting, mashed potatoes, stuff like that. I'm also growing another main crop potato, same as last year, Setanta. These are a really nice one. I grew these in the ground last year and they got a really nice crop of them. They're a nice red potato, and I found that these were quite good for mashed potatoes. And then we're also growing, same as last year again, Sarpomera. These are a blight resistant potato, and these were really nice in the buckets last year. We got some really nice big potatoes. They're a red one again, just like the Setanta, and yeah, they were completely untouched by the blight last year, so they were good. Yeah, Sarpomera, I'm growing them again this year. And we've also got behind me here, we can't see, I've got a few here that I'm already chitting, which I started a few weeks ago. I've got some King Edwards in this basket here. And I've also got a few Setanta potatoes that I saved from last year. Well, there's actually a mixture of Setanta and Sarpomeras here, which I've left over. And these have started to chit on their own. I managed to keep these alive and stop them from rotting over the winter in the shed, which I'm really surprised about because I lost quite a lot of things during the winter. We had quite bad frosts. So, yeah, we've got a few potatoes here chitting and King Edwards. Although these ones here, I probably need to get these planted. I've let these go a little bit over the top, so we'll see. We're gonna stick these in anyway and see how they do. So why am I chitting my potatoes? Well, there's quite a little bit of debate amongst gardeners, and everyone's quite divided about whether you should chit them or not. Some people say it doesn't make a difference. Other people say it makes a big difference. Now, I'm one of them people that says it does make a difference because what you're doing is you're leaving them out on a sunny area like this that doesn't get too hot though. It's going to be cool and it's going to be a little bit light at the same time. And you're leaving them there for a few weeks, around 6 weeks before you're planting them, and you're just letting them get, for example, like this, a little sprout there, probably 1 to 2 inches in size, no more than that. And you're letting them get that before you plant them into the ground or in buckets or whatever you're planting them in. And it's going to give them a head start. So you're gonna get your potatoes growing several weeks possibly earlier than if you were to just throw a spud in the ground without any eyes or chits on them. So see this potato here, this is a Kestrel potato. There are little tiny sprouts on them there. These are called eyes, and this is where the chit or the sprout is going to come from. And if you were to just throw this potato in the ground just like this, it would grow, but it would be much faster to get growing if you had chits on it like that. There's already some roots coming out of there, so it's going to get a head start, and you'll be picking potatoes a good couple of weeks earlier, so it does make a little bit of a difference. Now, I've always done this, and it's always worked for me, and I found that this works because I've not actually done experiments, but I have watched that beds that have grown potatoes in the previous year have started sprouting much later than the chitted potatoes that I've purposely planted that season. So I know that despite the fact that the potatoes have been sat in the ground over the winter, the ones that I've left in the ground and forgotten about and missed when I've been harvesting, they've been much slower to come up than the ones that I've planted. So to me, that's an indicator that chitting them does make a difference and it does speed things up. So last year I grew quite a few potatoes in buckets, like the Kestrels and the Sarpomeras, and I found that the ones in the buckets were completely clean as anything. They had no bug damage on them or any disease damage on them at all or anything like that. They were really nice potatoes, and I got some really big Sarpomera potatoes as well. I was really happy with those. Um, but the ones that I grew outside in the ground had quite a bit of damage in them. The Satantas, which I grew in the long bed just behind me here, most of them were unaffected, but I did have quite a few that had wireworm damage in them. I picked them quite early though. I think they were harvested in June, and they were okay. But the ones that I harvested in July and August from another bed were completely obliterated with wireworm damage. And in fact, from this one bed, I did not have a single potato. So I did do a video about that as well, called Potato Disaster. And yeah, the title speaks for itself. It was a massacre. So this year I'm growing my potatoes in our 30-litre buckets. I've got about 40 of them. They're all filled up, ready outside. Yes, all my potatoes are going to be grown in buckets this year. Um, and I've put horse manure and compost in. I've actually reused some of the compost from last year and then bulked it up with horse manure, which I find works quite well. Um, I want to cut down the cost of compost and things like that. And I will be doing a video probably around mid to late March when I'm planting these of just how I'm planting them, because I follow a certain process and it works for me. Works differently for other people. Everyone has their own way of doing things, but I'm going to show you my way. So I'm now going to get on with putting these out. I'm going to lay them out to chit, and I'm going to show you just how I do it. It's really simple. So this area in my shed here gets a little bit of light from this window, and that's fine. I don't want them to get too much light because I don't want to burn the sprouts. So I'm just going to lay them out like this. If there are any chits on them already, little sprouts, I'm going to make sure that they're facing up if possible. You can't see many on these. There are a few. I'm just going to lay them out like this. Some people use egg cartons. They're quite good for chitting potatoes in, but I'm just going to put them in these trays like this. Now, just another little useful piece of information for you all. Um, the ideal seed potato size is around the size of a large egg, so around about this. So if you're going into somewhere like Wilko or somewhere like that, a shop where you're going to have potatoes on display, you are looking for potatoes that have a reasonable size in them. As I said, the size of a large egg. These were ordered, and I found that a lot of them are bigger than that actually. So you can actually cut some of them in half like this, and you can end up with two seed potatoes instead of one, which can give you more. So that's one thing you can do. And I've also found that with main crop potatoes, such as Sarpomera and Satanta, which I'm growing, I will actually, when the chits start to come through, I will take off the excess ones and I will leave them around about two chits on them instead of, well, there might be five or so on this one, but I'll get like a penny and I'll just remove the chits. And what that will do is it will focus more energy onto producing fewer stems and fewer plants, but it will give us bigger potatoes. There will be less potatoes, but they will be bigger. And that's what you do with main crop potatoes. If you were to want more potatoes that were smaller, you would leave more chits on them. So you might have 5 chits instead of 2. So, however, with second early potatoes like Kestrel, well, first and second earlies, you wouldn't bother doing that. You just leave however many chits there are on there, because these are going to be harvested much quicker. And I'm just going to leave that tag on there so I know what it is. So I'm going to put out the kestrels. And it's really as simple as that. There's no other thing really to do with this. Now obviously I'm going to make sure that these don't get wet, and I'm going to make sure they don't get too hot either. So obviously these are in a shed, so it's going to be a good little bit of light coming through this window behind me, and they're not going to get scorched out by the heat. And it's really as simple as that. I'm just going to leave these on here, and the light will come through this window here. And I've got a few on here already, as I said before. A few here which I grew from last year. Some King Edwards here, which are starting to sprout now. It's a little bit there. I'll let them get a little bit bigger, and then they can be planted. I'll move them over there. And then we've actually got some here from last year. No chits on them yet, but we do have a few coming through there. Some of these are probably a little bit small, but I'm going to throw them in anyway, you know, on there. But, you know, nothing lost, nothing gained if these do not make it, because they were just left over from last year anyway. So there we have it. There are all my potatoes, all laid out now in the shed, ready for chitting. These will be sat here for a few weeks till around about the end of March, and then I will stick them all in the buckets outside, probably 2 or 3 per bucket depending on the variety. The main crops around about 2 per bucket, and then the secondary kestrels I will be doing 4 per bucket. So I've got about 40 buckets. So yeah, that is it. There's nothing else to it. So I've got Satanta, Sarpomera, King Edward, and Kestrel secondarily. So we should have quite a lot of potatoes this year, and hopefully no wireworm damage, and hopefully not any blight either. Last year was okay. It was just the wireworm damage. So come back in a few weeks' time, and I will be planting these, and I'll be showing you how I do it. Yeah, I'm really excited for starting these. And also in March, I'm going to be doing quite a lot of seed sowing. I've started things now, such as my onions, my sweet peas, and my chilies and sweet peppers as well. But that's about it really. That's all I've started so far. But March is when I start sowing most of my seeds. Probably around the first week of March, I'm going to start getting my brassicas, um, various other things such as my just everything really. There's too much of a list to go through, but I'll probably be doing a video on that of what I'm growing in March. And also, the thing that a lot of gardeners are anticipating sowing, tomatoes. I'm going to be doing them around mid to late March as well, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be growing about 30 different varieties of tomato this year. Last year I did about 20, and it was crazy. So check out the tasting video if you want to see that. We did a good tasting video, but I've got a few more varieties this year. Some are, well, actually most of them are heritage types. So thank you for watching my potato chitting video. Just a quick one, nothing crazy, and I hope I see you in the next one. Happy gardening and stay safe.